Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of At Home with Mark. Today is episode 20 of season 2, which is crushing. I can't believe this is going on this long, Tim, but we got Tim Lefebvre here, probably my favorite bass player of all time. Tim, thanks for making time, buddy. I really appreciate it.
Thanks. Let me finish blushing and then I'll be
back. I have a couple, but you're way up there, man. So I have a very specific moment in my life, my personal life, that like music came into, my soul and was like, I'm going to set up camp here, buddy. You're not going to get rid of me. Do you have something like that? Do you have a pinpoint moment, or has it just always been a thing and you have a musical family? Like what's the story there?
Yeah, it was kind of always a thing. I mean, my dad was a middle school music teacher. My older brother was a trumpet player. Everybody played music in my house. So like, it was sort of like always around. And so like, it seemed like the thing I was going to do. But my parents wouldn't let me get a music degree, so I had to get like a regular degree, in like economics and political science, whatever it was. But I realized afterwards that like I went to do one job interview, like at Nationwide Insurance or something like that, and I was just like, oh man, I just was like picturing myself hanging from the ceiling by a rope, like killing myself. So I was like, I better just do music. So that's what I did. I just went on cruise ships, and then kind of all went cascaded from there.
Oh, I didn't realize you were doing the cruise ship thing. So yeah. Where did you grow up in Mass?
Foxborough.
Oh, okay. Oh, right outside, buddy. So are there any like seminal, this is another fun thing that I always kind of harken back to. Are there any seminal records that kind of like made you take it more seriously?
Yeah, there was, I mean, especially in high school. I mean, yeah, there was always like, Van Halen and Rush and all that stuff. Rush and Van Halen kind of got me fired up about playing bass. So like I started playing along with those records as much as I could. But then, when I got to high school, I got the jazz bug, and it started I started really getting into Coltrane. It was like working steam and all the Prestige Miles Davis records. But then, I came into the later Miles band, like especially, what was the one? God. It's a live one. I can't even think about it. I'm looking at my phone.
There's many of them.
I know. No, but it was like the one where they played an NAACP. It's the other side of My Funny Valentine too. See Miles Davis.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that one.
Yeah, it's a live concert. Hold on a second. Let me look. I can't remember. It's ridiculous. I can't remember this. Anyway, let me see. I'll tell you in 2 seconds. Hold on a second. All right. Yeah, there was that, and Black Coats from the Underground came out at the same time, in the mid '80s. I'm going back. Let's see. I will tell you in a second. It's oh, come on, didn't even show up. Columbia. It's Columbia Live. Tony Williams, Ron Carter, and yeah, it's like that band. Herbie, Ron, and Tony. I called them. But anyway, like it was an NAACP benefit, and then Tony Williams found out he wasn't getting paid, so. That whole record is just like super edgy with anyways. Yeah. So like it was actually, it wasn't Wayne Shorter yet. It was George, what the fuck, man, my memory is just unbelievably bad today.
That's not good, man.
Four More. That was the record.
Okay.
So
I'll check it out.
Yeah. Four More is incredible. Like energy. It's good. But it was because Tony was so mad that he wasn't getting paid. It's in Miles Davis's autobiography. So,
oh man.
Yeah, but in high school I didn't know that. I was just like, man, this band is fire. I was just like, what's going on here? Miles Davis, Star People, and Black Coats from the Underground, and also John Schofield, like Still Warm, and the records with Gary Granger and Baltimore's own Gary Granger, and
man,
and Baltimore's own Dennis Chambers. So
ooh, yeah, mm-hmm.
Yeah. So those records kind of like turned me on my head. And I was like, okay, I'm in.
What a crushing band. Did you come by bass like naturally, or were like you and a group of guys and like, well, you got to play bass, Tim?
It was actually my dad. He was like, my dad was a music, I told you, he was a middle school music teacher, but I think one Christmas my sister got an acoustic guitar or something. And so I ended up like kind of stealing it and playing it. And but my dad noticed I was just playing single notes. I wasn't playing chords. So I was just playing single note things and playing along with records and stuff. And he goes, I think you're a bass player. And so that was kind of it. It just kind of went from there. Like, then he got me a bass, and I started going on gigs with him, like, cause he gigged around the Boston area playing with these GB bands. So like that was kind of it. And then, So I was picked out of the crowd as a bass player. You know, like my dad was smart enough to see it. So
That's awesome.
God bless
What was
him.
your first rig? Like, what was your first bass rig? Do you remember it?
One I bought, yeah, it was like a PVTNT.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, like one of those things with the speaker in it. That was the first one I remember. And then I also had like an art effects rack, you know, like so like
Oh, dude, I remember that. Yeah.
yeah, because they were made in Rochester, New York, and that's where I went to school. So my friend got me one because he worked there in the summer. So my friend Ray Belt, I can't remember. I can't remember who played saxophone on Four and More, but I can remember this guy's name. Yeah, so that was that, and then that's the first one I remember. Then when I got on a cruise ship, I ended up buying an SWR SM400 and a Trace Elliott 410.
Okay.
Yeah, which I still have. Yeah, I don't know where the Trace Elliott is. I think it's down in Florida somewhere with Tedeschi truck storage.
Oh man.
Yeah.
All like period pieces. Like I remember all that stuff when I remember when Trace Elliott was hot in the bass community.
Yeah.
Like, and it was like the newfangled thing. And I guess that was kind of the time, maybe, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like maybe when like boutique-y stuff started creeping in.
Quite possibly. Yeah. I mean, yeah, I remember that it was a 1048. So it was a 410 cabinet. And you know, honestly, like and the entire time I was in New York, and I used that on almost every gig, you know, I left it at the 55 bar or I brought it home to my apartment and humped it up 2 sets of stairs. We weighed 100 pounds, you know what I mean? So like,
oh dude, yeah, I remember those things were heavy.
Yeah, but it sounded incredible. And it still sounds incredible. And in fact, like I think I only had to replace the speakers like 3-4 years ago.
Man.
That's like I got like almost 30 years out of them.
Dude. That's crazy.
Yeah.
I remember how heavy those things were. And I remember, and maybe it's still to this day, like Mesa stuff, like Mesa Boogie stuff is always hella heavy.
Yep.
Oh my God. That's breaking.
Yeah. It's like SVTs. It's like, you know,
yeah.
I have an SVT in a road case. I can't even lift myself like to get into the back of my truck. I mean, literally it's just like, it's too heavy. It's with the case, it's probably 150, 200 pounds.
Oh my God.
You know, so
that's crazy, man.
I know.
Well, I have so much to get to. I want to dive right in. So let me start by saying probably 2000, it might have been 2006, 2007, but most likely 2006. I was at my drummer's house in Baltimore in his row home, and he put on a documentary, and it was from is it Marciak show from 99, from that little documentary.
Yep.
And because, you know, the way that I play guitar, I'd never heard Wayne before. And I talk about Wayne probably almost every episode of this show when people were talking about guitar players and stuff. But when I heard that music and I saw the three of you guys playing together, I'm not even kidding, dude. I don't mean to make you blush again, but it changed my life. Like it made me think about the possibilities of music and composition and improvisation totally different than what I started with, because I grew up on grunge. I learned guitar by rewinding Nevermind until it totally died. You know what I mean?
Right.
So like by the time I got to you guys, you know, I was listening to jam bands like Fish and Mo and stuff like that, all my brother's stuff, and learning improvisation through those routes. But when I heard that music, I was so lit with joy. It totally changed the direction of my life. And that's when I was like, I want to go to Berkeley and learn music, not just like think I know what I'm doing, but actually learn it. And it, for me, like, I'm so curious. How did you, first of all, end up with Wayne? I don't know if I've ever heard that story, believe it or not. How did that meeting happen?
Well, I think somehow like after 2 Drink Minimum, you know, the live at the 55 bar.
Yeah.
That was Lincoln Goines on bass, who was an influence on me for a while back then. Who teaches at Berkeley actually too. But anyway, after that, I think they were, I don't know what happened. Like maybe Lincoln was going to do something else, or, you know, there's this, you know, sometimes same guys on the same gig for a while, it just kind of wears out its welcome or whatever. And Zach also, Zach Danziger actually made it happen. He's like, Wayne should check this guy out. Right. Cause I know Wayne at some point, he was like, you know, Wayne's going to need another bass player at some point. So basically I was just waiting in the wings. He gave me the music to learn. So I kind of like started rehearsing with him off and on, even while Lincoln was still doing the gig. So like he was teaching me the music for when Lincoln wasn't going to be around or whatever. So that was kind of it. And we just started rehearsing, and then all of a sudden I was at the 55 bar doing that gig. And you know, like, and also like there was a certain, what's the word? Like New
York?
Yeah, I think he moved from Dallas.
Okay. Yeah, I mean that it's weird because I've seen many iterations of the band,
and then all of a sudden you have like a jarring tempo change, right? So like then we, he thought that was cool, and I thought it was cool.
Else, but you're in a key. Like, how do you approach? Like, okay, how am I going to do this? Like, do you just first listen to Wayne and then you click in, or do you like I have an idea?
Well, it's interesting because it was always in the interest of composition,
Yeah,
keep momentum going.
Did you guys like have writing sessions at all, or does Wayne come?
Oh.
That's nuts.
Yeah, like it'd be a 3 music stand vibe.
Was that super scary? You're like, oh my god, what am I getting?
Well, I was, also at the time, like also rotating in with Lincoln was Kip Reed, and I think Genius was doing it too, James Genius. So like they were all sitting there with music stands full of paper too, and it's just like, oh man, it was a brutal chair.
Yeah, but now it's open though. It's pretty open, right? Like when he does stuff. And then when you guys do covers, like so Black Swan, I told you like I was playing in a band and we covered that. And
is most successful when it's somebody who like kind of does the Keith aesthetic, and then on bass, like somebody does my aesthetic almost. That's what I've been told. I mean, I don't because I've never seen I've seen the gig only a couple of times when I haven't been on it. I mean, I listened to it was Anthony Jackson, which is a whole other ball of wax, right? So it's like, but generally, I mean, there's people who just did the gig also who just didn't give a shit and just but I think like it makes it easier to get through a night.
Some of these bass players are trying to they're filling in for you are using pedals and trying to like get sub-octave stuff and do things like that. That's what we expect. But was the effects thing? I mean, I'm gathering you've always been into like effects.
I mean, I really wasn't, but what it came out of, like, it was at the same time that the Wayne thing was taken off, right? And at the same time in New York, it was JoJo Mayer live drum and bass nights. Like, so to me, it was like that was
right. It's funny though because like if you listen to a Go-Go, I mean, you dug that record, I'm sure, right? Like Schofield, a Go-Go, like with
the Jesse
Tedeschi.
Oh no, yeah, that was good. I saw at Detroit Jazz Festival. I saw that band.
Okay.
No, I love listening to Tedeschi Martin Wood live, sure. But those, like I said, I wouldn't call that jam like necessarily, because they were kind of more what's the word? They were bringing different, like some more influences than the usual jam band was, I think.
Oh, for sure. Oh yeah.
So it's a little more advanced than the other stuff. Especially listening to their records, I was like, man, because I got into a couple of their records hard.
Yeah. I mean, John is like a force of nature on the keys too, man. It's like,
oh god, yeah, he's amazing.
Like that dude can do no wrong. Apparently, it's anything he plays is right. Even though if it's wrong.
Yeah.
So like going back to the effects thing. So was that like something that Wayne encouraged early on too, like to experiment with that stuff?
Nah, he tried to rein it in. He was like,
really?
Yeah, he was like, can you use the pedals a little less? I mean, just because I felt like I couldn't function, to play notes sometimes it's just like, okay, really, like, when you think about it in the big picture, like if you're playing 5 minutes of just, and then not using any different sonic textures, and you're just ramrodding notes at people for 5 minutes, I think that's too much. You know what I mean? Especially when there's if you're not like going back to the hook enough or whatever, so like I kind of like would use effects to try to make momentum shifts happen, you know what I mean? So because also when you take them out, that's also a momentum shift, you know what I mean? So like, I was trying to use it that way, but then, it kind of got to be, sometimes we would fight about it a little bit, but not much. But then, because then he was using a ton of pedals too. So I thought, like to me, like the highlights of some of those gigs is when we would both be just in noise world, you know what I mean? To this day, people like freak out. Whenever I post the electronic freakouts with that trio, people just lose their shit. When Wayne's on the ring modulator or whatever, and just doing some real bitey weird shit. It's like, it's because like what Keith and I do is like go into trancey kind of zones. So it's like, it totally works. It gets dancey almost. So.
Oh, for sure. When I saw you guys play at Sullivan Hall in New York, I remember there was a couple times after the song was over that I was like out of breath. And like in a really good way too, because it was so intense that I forgot to breathe. I guess I don't know, man, but it was like it felt that way. And then there was one moment I remember from that night when you guys were playing that I don't know if it was like a tongue-in-cheeky thing, like where you guys started playing something that sounded jammy. It sounded like a progression and like what you guys were playing. And I remember seeing you guys look at each other and kind of laugh. So there's probably a lot of those moments where you're like cheeky monkey kind of thing on stage. Did you guys mess with each other on stage a bit?
I mean, not a ton.
Musically?
Wayne's pretty serious, so like, you know, we didn't do too much. Sometimes we do like some dicking around, but for the most part, you know, because we would do like when I had that band Rudder with Keith, like, you know, we'd do some dicking around, and Keith doesn't like it that much. So
right.
Yeah, so we sort of, because some of the compositions in Rudder were goofy to begin with, and I think it wasn't serious enough for Keith, which is fine, you know.
Yeah, that band. Woo, that band.
I know. I just heard from Chris Cheek today, actually. Weirdly.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Are you guys gonna do something else?
I hope we would, but you know, it's so unlikely, especially because New York is going to take years to get its shit back together. It's in the nuts again from COVID.
That's a rough scene. Whew. Are you hearing static right now? There's like a.
Oh, it's my fan. Sorry.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, you want me to turn it off? Or
is it the fan?
I have a fan going. Yeah.
Oh, that might be it. Yeah, it's like a loud static, weird noise. I don't know if everyone.
Let me turn it off and see if that's what you mean. It's not that loud, actually. I bought an Amazon Quiet fan.
Or maybe it's like blowing at the mic or something. Who knows? Oh, no. No, that's not it.
Oh, yeah, okay. It's something else.
Okay. Weird.
Yeah. I wonder if it's, it could be, might be the hologram pedal. I don't know. Sometimes it gives up a high hiss. I don't know.
Strange. So, and then also too, I wanted to ask you. So you have a cred list out the wazoo, dude. Huh. I didn't even know that you played on. Did you play on Jamie Cullum's record, The Pursuit?
Yeah.
I didn't even know that. I'm like a huge Jamie Cullum fan. I didn't even. So did you? You didn't play on the whole record, or did you play on the whole record?
Just a couple tunes. Just a couple.
Okay.
Tunes. Well,
how did you meet him?
How did that happen? I can't remember. I think he knew the drummer Mark McLean. Somehow, and Mark hooked me up with it. You know, like there was a certain point where Jamie was coming over to the U.S. to do some touring, and he couldn't bring over his band because, you know, visas and all that crap. So like he just came over. We ended up doing. We played a show at the Hollywood Bowl, and we did Monterey Jazz Festival and a couple other things. And so like he was into that little number because we could play funk and swing. So like, because Jamie would do that, you know, he also did a lot of Sinatra E kind of standards. So he hired us to play on the record a little bit, and it was cool. I really like that record.
Oh, dude, that's like one of my favorite of his records. That's like one of my favorites. What tracks did you play on? Do you remember the names of the tracks? Because I have to go look it up. But I mean, when I heard that the other day, like one of my friends, like, you know, he played on Jamie Cullum's Pursuit. And I was like, what? How did I not know that?
Let me look. I think we played on Jamie Cullum. At least one tune. It might have been two. Let's see.
Because I'm trying to think if I can hear you if I like close my eyes.
I was playing upright, so you probably wouldn't.
Okay.
I think it's so hard to pick out, like, especially modern upright players. It's like just everybody sounds.
I know. Yeah.
Or just I don't even know if it's like The Pursuit. Let's see what tunes I played on. Those things. I'm all over it.
Oh yeah.
I can't remember.
Dude, you've done so much. It's
just one of those things because I think that was at the Count Basie band.
Oh yeah.
I'm pretty sure that was one of them.
Yeah, that's a great track, man. Yeah. All right, because you know what's funny. So you when you say like I wasn't really into the jam thing, like when I saw that you got the Tedeschi Trucks gig, I was so happy because I was like, well, he's perfect for that because you've got the groove thing going, and they love that. Yeah. So did you? Because I know at one point did you, like, what year did you go from East Coast to West Coast?
Well, I think I hear that static you're talking about now.
Yeah, you hear that?
Is that me? Let me see. It might be my.
And it's strange. It just like appeared out of the blue.
Oh yeah.
That's what you do, folks. It's live.
Is it that?
Well, I don't know. It's really staticky though.
I wonder if it's my mic. I don't know. These mics just get a little funky.
It might be. It might be when you moved it, maybe as your cord.
It's possible.
Hopefully, it's not too. You guys can let us know out there if it's too annoying.
Yeah, it's not too present in my headphones. I hear it though. It's a little crackling.
Yeah, It's weird.
It doesn't show up on my meters. I was looking at my
We'll
UAD X8P people. Yeah.
We'll see after the fact.
Huh.
So I was super pumped when I saw that you got that gig. So that came out of probably, so when you moved out west, you were doing like session stuff, right? You were doing a lot of session work.
I just moved out to LA and things were starting to pick up there. And all of a sudden, through a couple people, like I got a call to their auditions are funny. It's not like you just go audition at their house or something. They you get thrown to the wolves. Like I had to do 5 shows with them. That was the audition. But I did a full week with them on tour.
Oh my God.
I thought it was actually a brilliant way to do it. You know what I mean? Like see how you handle that kind of stuff. So
yeah. You gotta like the people that you're hanging out with too, I guess. Music with.
That was a great 5 years. I they treated me like family. It was really, really awesome. So.
Yeah. I mean, that had to, so I'm gathering you're still on the West Coast, right? Oh, it just got way louder.
Is that me? Give me a second. Give me 2 seconds. That's weird. What is that? Hold on.
I think it's. I think it's you because I unplugged my mic and it's still there.
Is it this? I did unplug mine. Let's see. Oh, come on. Nope. It's somewhere. It's a ghost in the machine. Weird. It's like a ghost in the machine. I don't know what that is.
Totally is.
Maybe it's StreamYard because I just turned my mic on and off and it was still there.
Huh. Let me.
Was it you? Oh, you just did something and made it go quiet.
I don't know what happened.
Huh. It's a disaster.
This has never happened. I turned my mic all the way down and it's still there.
I think it's in StreamYard, if you ask me.
Huh.
Now it just went away.
Oh, that's what the heck, dude.
Yeah. I don't know.
It might have been in StreamYard.
I think it's StreamYard.
Bastards. So anyway, so what I was saying is for the Tedeschi Trucks band gig, I mean that had to be like one of the most fun gigs to be on that stage with that many people, man. Like
well, I subbed on Saturday Night Live and like that's a big band additionally, like there's like 5 lines and blah blah blah. So like I was sort of used to that sound. I wasn't used to the 2 drummer thing, but it was fun. Yeah, it's totally fun. And then like also as it turns out, some of the heaviest shows I ever was part of, including like Wayne, like, and if I had top 5 shows, I mean, of course, a couple of 55 bars of Krantz, but definitely a couple Tedeschi Trucks gigs for sure that we just went out and laid waste to wherever we were. One of them happened to be Chicago Theater, which is gigantic. And how we hooked it up, but like, because sometimes in the bigger venues, like sometimes everybody gets uptight and it just doesn't go how it should. Yeah. But that one, for some reason, like I think Derek broke a string or something. So like it was kind of So he kind of handed a solo over to Kofi, playing organ. It just went this place that it was just outrageous. You know what I mean? And just everybody all of a sudden it was like we were playing in a small club. Yeah. And people lost their minds. In fact, we were playing Whipping Post. So.
Oh man.
Yeah. So it was pretty insane. Yeah.
Dude, and what a loss, dude, of that guy. Yeah, I mean, what an amazing. Did you get a chance to play with Gabe too? Gabe Dixon?
No, I knew who he was. Like, in fact, well, because he shared managers with Jamie Cullum, so I knew who he was. I knew who he was way back in the day, like 2008, or because I saw him at the Hotel Cafe way back when.
Yeah, he's a great man. He's a wonderful songwriter. He's got a new record coming out. He was on here in January. It's funny, man. My daughter, I have a 10-year-old. She's like a huge Gabe Dixon fan. Like, we drive around in the car and listen to it. She always requests I put his music on.
Yeah,
and I had
great. Yeah,
he's so great, man. He's a good fit for that band. But I was like, when I saw you with Tedeschi Trucks, I was like, sweet. And I don't think you guys came through near Baltimore when I was.
We played that. Yeah, we played the Harbor place though, like the one that's. We did play in Baltimore.
Like Pier 6, probably.
Yeah, that big venue there.
Like the Wheels of Soul tour. I went the
one of them.
Yeah, I went the one year when Doyle opened up that show.
Yeah.
Woo, man. Doyle Bramhall.
Yeah.
Bless that man.
Yeah.
So, and then what's hilarious is then I saw you and Howard Stern playing with the Black Crows, and I was like, what the heck is going on with Tim, man? He's playing with all these bands that like I absolutely love and not playing with Wayne. So how did that happen?
Just, I knew Chris and Rich. And so, I auditioned and that was it. Yeah, it's cool.
Oh man. Yeah. That was rad, dude. I mean, every time I've seen different iterations of you showing up different places. I mean, it always makes, like I told you, like you're one of my favorite bass players. So I'm like, if that dude's playing with whoever, I'm going to enjoy whoever he's playing with. Could be Devo and it would be totally fine.
I would take that gig.
Yeah. So I wanted to ask you about gear, because all my subscribers and stuff, we're all into super nerdy stuff with gear.
Me too.
And I know that. And I was curious. So I know you don't have your whole board set up, but are you still playing a Mulan too?
I am playing Mulan, yes.
Okay, cool. Is that your main go-to bass as of right now?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, like now that I've been not touring, when I'm doing home stuff, like I that's cool because I can pick from the arsenal, whatever I think is kind of going to work. So, I've been using my hollow bodies a lot. I've been using the Wilcock a lot, but I mean, in terms of just like what I'm going to default to all the time, it's the Mulan, and also, and just in general, like, if someone needs just a regular bass recording, I have a 63P. So yeah.
And some of those short scale basses you've been using too are pretty rad. And what companies are those?
All right, so I mean, I could show you. I have.
Grab one.
Okay, so
let's check it out.
We'll do one at a time. We'll have a little like a fashion parade.
Yeah.
Okay, so here's the Seric, the Grand.
Oh yeah, man.
Greatest. That's great bass.
That's super dope.
Neck, killing. I have a Schecter, but it's in a different room. But this one gets a lot of use. Actually, I bring this to a lot of sessions when I travel because, first of all, it won't smash. This is the Wilcock, Robin Malarkey thing. But man, in the front, in the neck position with a pick, it sounds exactly like a hollow body. So like I've done a ton of recordings with this thing, using the neck pickup, and it's seriously, you could like it really sounds like a hollow body.
That's dope.
Okay, here's the Tim Clunan OBS 5.
Oh wow.
Yeah. 30
That's so cool.
Incredible bass.
Oh man.
This is like my go-to 5-string.
Oof. What's that? Let's show the back of the neck of that.
Oh yeah.
How many pieces is that neck?
I mean, it's a bunch probably, right?
Oh my god, dude. That's so cool.
Yeah, Tim Clunan was a genius, man. Like, we all need to bow down to him. Here is the chambered 51P from Wilcock. Like, look at how sharp the details on this.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's all this super cool.
Is that binding to all the way around?
Yeah, all the way on top anyway. Yes.
Oh wow, man, that's pretty.
And it's also, it's got a telly pickup in it, so it's got that cool sound. And then, my Schecter's in another room. I have a Schecter it's a P bass. And this is the Seric 5.
Oh man, that's cool.
Also records great.
Is that like a super faded, like TV yellow type of a thing?
Yes.
Yeah, that's cool.
Then the Nordstrand cat bass, which isn't quite a short scale, but it's 32. So.
Oh, that thing's got mojo.
It's incredible. All these things are, they all have their uses. You know what I mean? Like.
Yeah.
Then the rest of it's kind of vintagey or hollow body. Man, Schecter's making good stuff. Like, you'd be surprised. Like, like the companies that you wouldn't think of as long as you don't think of them as vintage, you'll be okay. You know what I mean? Like if you're going for a vintage thing, it's not going to sound like that. So you just have to kind of wrap your head around that. But and here's the 1 second. Here's the flagship Mulan.
Yeah, that's the one I'm used to seeing you with.
Yeah, just this little one. The typical classic P bass sound.
Man,
it's kind of like its own thing because it's like different. The pickups are a different wind, so they're a little hotter, like a little more beefy than the normal P bass pickups. In fact, like, when he made that bass for me, like, I thought I had to replace I was having this problem, like, why, like as a bass player, you want to make sure your string is just as loud as the other. And I think the G string was not for some reason. So it turned out to be a setup thing, but the pickups, I got new pickups, but I had to have them make the same pickups because they're slightly different than, I think usually he's like modeling them after 59 Ps. But these are like sort of turbo. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. That Mulan, I think, is the one that I'm used to seeing you play through. And I feel like there's a couple people, like when I started seeing you with that in your hands, and then I saw some guitarists like Danny Mayer, who was playing with Eric Krasno's band for a while. Yep. He had one. And then they're just kind of floating around now, man. There's a lot of people, more and more, just kind of popping up.
Well, the thing is like, word got out, like, besides like a Fender custom shop, there's really no better P bass on the market. I think that's a newer P bass, in my opinion. And that's the guy I've been sort of championing his cause because it's a good bass, you know what I mean? He's been really nice to me, A, but B, mostly because of that. And so he, like right now he's got like a 2-year waiting list.
What?
Yeah, he hasn't expanded his staff at all, and like he's got orders out his ass. So,
man, you lean more towards P than J most of the time?
Yeah, I mean that was the whole thing. In fact, like I sold the bass I use with Wayne Krantz's band all the time, the 66 Jazz. I sold it to Sonic Ranch, and because that thing has a very big stigma to me. Like it just after a while, all I was doing was using the front pickup to try to get a P bass sound, because I was hearing that for years and I just didn't have one, or I didn't have one that sounded as good as that. So like I faked my way around it. So the last couple, like including the KCL record, whenever I did use a P bass on 1 or 2 tracks there, but most of it was was the 66 Jazz, and I just used the front pickup. So that's where we got that scronky thing. But now it's gone because I just I brought it out initially when I was out with Tedeschi trucks to play. There was one tune that required detuning, so like I had enough of that, but it wasn't as loud as the other basses. So I kind of couldn't. Yeah, I mean it's important like to have the same gain structure for the front of house guy. So yeah. Then I just brought it home and I just wasn't playing, and I was like, all right, So I sold it to Sonic Ranch just because I don't know. It's I can still play it. The option is still there if I want to go to Sonic Ranch. I could still dig it out,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a historical piece. So like, the guy was excited to get it. So Tony,
sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure, man. Yeah. I feel like the P bass thing is something that I was new to. I have a bass for just like tracking and doing demos and stuff. And I played a J for such a long time. It just felt more comfortable as far as, length of bass, size of bass and everything. And then when I got a P, I was like, oh, this is what this is about. These suckers thump. Yeah. It's like, it's like a different animal, man. It's a totally different animal.
And also, like if you put round ones on it and use a pick, I mean, then you're talking about all the 80s, like Peter Hook and all the Joy Division stuff, and it's just like that's that sound. The Cure. It's like it's incredible, man. It's like that is. I'm way into it, just like chunking eighth notes and just using. I mean, yeah, because there's also and it's still the craze, which is like okay, let's go to P bass and put flats on it, which I'm totally past now for the most part. I mean, I still have one, of course, with flats on it for specific stuff. You know what I mean? Like my 68, the Black Star bass still has flats on it.
Right.
I'll need to change those strings probably. So
that bass was all over Black Star.
The 68P was, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Mostly. I mean, then it was Mulan was on one, and I had a 77 P bass too, which I got rid of. I don't know why I did it, but I did it. But on "'Tis a Pity She's a Whore" was my Mulan, and then "Can't Give Everything Away" was the 77 Jazz, and the rest was the 68P.
Oh man. Which
I mostly play with a pick for most of the record.
Why do people throw shade at that? I don't understand that.
I've never heard anybody throw shade about it.
I've heard people throw shade at bass players for using a pick. I'm like, dude, why? I mean, it's a specific tone and it sounds cool. And if Paul McCartney did it, it's okay. Like,
it's not even that. There's billions of other, like Justin Meldal Johnson, the guy from Beck's band, like he's a big influence on me. And why he got it from probably from Serge Gainsbourg records and stuff like that. All those guys they were all converted guitar players. So they just all used a pick. Yeah. And Barry Oakley, same thing. He used to pick. You know what I mean? So it's like, the tradition is like, it's like just some people just did it, and it doesn't mean if they're worse or better bass players. It just was what it was, you know.
Dude, and some of Beck's records, man, I feel like Sea Changes is one of my favorite.
Oh my God, it's incredible.
Oh my God, dude. That whole album from start to finish, it's like a masterpiece. And like the way he sonically records his records and like captures performances.
Well, that's Nigel Godrich.
Yeah.
Radiohead guy. So it's like, it's got like, that incredible engineering to it. Amazing.
Next level, man. Next level. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So I just gotta burn through some of this stuff right now. So back to the gear thing though. So obviously 3-leaf, you have some signature stuff there.
Yes.
So your signature octave pedal, I mean, I know, you know, bass players worldwide probably like still bow down to the OC2, you know, as far as what it did and what it was and what it still is.
Right.
But like, I feel like, I put this in the description of this show. I like, maybe I might make you blush again, Tim, but I kind of hearken you and liken you to people like Hendrix, because I feel like what you're doing with the bass guitar is inventive and pushing the envelope, and you're not resting on the laurels of the bass community of what you've heard before. You're not trying to be Jamerson. You know what I mean? You're pushing everything. Like, what can we do? What else can we do with this instrument? And how can we incorporate technology with this instrument? That's the stuff that it draws me to you as a player. So, I mean, like, that's my question earlier is like, how did the pedals come in? So, I mean, you're like working in a DAW, like you're comfortable in that environment. You're comfortable with synths. You're comfortable with all this technology. Like, have you always embraced it?
I mean, basically, I've always liked interesting sounds. Sure. You know what I mean? I'm not sure why or how, but, you know, well, I mean, you know, back in college, we'd pull in bong hits, listen to Pink Floyd, and you know, I was always attracted to the delay pedals, you know, like, oh, I wonder why. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So now it's like now people call me like I'm producing some records now, basically because of, not because I'm not really a song guy per se, but I'm a sound guy. And I think people kind of will turn to me a little bit for sound stuff to make, even like for instrumental music, they'll just be like, how can we make this cooler? And it's usually because all you have to do is know some tricks here and there, and you know what I mean, to make stuff cooler. Sometimes it's just an approach from the drums, and sometimes it's all right. For instance, so like I was producing this record this weekend in Chicago. My friend Tim Sicer, great bass player from Chicago, and like, you know, it's instrumental, it's pretty hard hitting, but like, you know, so we were able to. I took my H9 with me, my Eventide H9, which I've actually never taken out of the box. Like I've taken out of the box once or twice. No, but I've also realized, like, you know, there's so many patches in there that are rad as hell. And we were using it like, you know, we'd take one of the drum mics and run like a bit crusher, you know, whatever a patch was. I think I ended up using a whole bunch of these. It's called Crush. There's some kind of thing in there called Crush, and just running a drum mic on it. And it's incredible. It's just like, you know, okay, we just got a vibe off a drum mic, you know what I mean? Like, then you take, I brought my Noble for the bass player, the Noble DI, and it's just like, just to get the warmth thing happening. And then I didn't bring a bunch of rad. I always bring my swell delay from Metaverse, which is because it's performance oriented. Like, it's not even, you don't have to try to time it. You just kind of like, you can grab little pieces of audio and it makes it go, you know, like an RE20 or something like that. So, you know, just things to like make things interesting. I brought my Red Panda Lab Context, you know, for the keyboard player, which made his sounds like way more interesting. And also I brought my Mike Sounds Loudly M3L preamp, which is like overdrive, and it's supposed to be like a kind of a Fender basement thing, but it's mostly like an overdrive and with a little bit of EQ, and that helped the Rhodes so much. You know, it just like gives it a vibe. So it's like, you know, if you know how to use that stuff, and not even necessarily on bass, just on anything really, it's kind of, you know, and I learned that stuff from like dealing with like Jason Lindner, like, you know, all those guys were putting pedals on their Whirlies and Rhodeses all over the place. So, you know, just kind of like stay in the game that way, you know.
So are you enjoying doing that? Are you enjoying producing records? Like,
yeah.
Is that something? Yeah.
Yeah. It's something I'm really enjoying, actually. You know, I mean, I'm not getting rich from it, but it's okay. It's definitely okay. And it's, you know, in terms of like, I'm lucky to get to do it. That's for sure. It's psyched that people would trust me. So
is anything out right now that you produce that we can check out, that everybody can check out?
Singles. Yeah. I did this track with my wife and this guy, Allison. It's this song called Mood Points, which we, you know, basically came here and just did it all. He had some, he had done some tracking elsewhere, but Alison brought a bunch of the stuff here, and we just kind of finished it. I hired Corey Fonville to play drums on it from Butcher Brown.
Nice.
Just kind of, yeah, it kind of took on a life of its own. It came out really great. Of course, like the problem is you're dropping, like right now, because there's no shows going on, everybody's like putting out music, so it's it's like a drop in an ocean of songs. So it's just like, it's hard to without and who can really afford PR most of the time. So basically just a blip on the radar. But it's fine. I just wanted to do it. So.
Yeah. Well, that's cool. I mean, that's another foray for you to like kind of spread your artistic wings. I mean, because it's got to be, if there's anything that I enjoy more about like what you just described with working with that group this weekend, there's like a level that you get to, I think, as a producer and like as a musician who's turned producer like you, that you understand texture probably sometimes more than just a producer who's not a musician would. So like having that like gravelly like undercurrent of like dirtiness in a mix, I feel like really brings a track to life. And I can only imagine shit that you do.
Yeah, well,
with that.
I produced this band in LA too, like this band called the Dirty Roots, and it's basically a blues bar band, really, but the guy's got a vibe. He's got like a Jim Morrison kind of thing, and like it's kind of like it's kind of stuff you've heard before, but then kind of not. So like I hired some people who were great, and then just kind of gave it some certain edges here and there, just like how we orchestrated stuff and how the songs were going and stuff. So like that was fun too, is like because that was definitely more, it was in the blues area, but definitely like helping the guy work out his things, the sounds and everything to bring it to life, because actually the truth is like maybe he doesn't know what he wants, right? So you have to kind of like guess, and that's another one, like like same with the Tim Sicer session this weekend, that the Dirty Roots, those are my first two sessions where I didn't play bass. I just was like in the control room, which is like, I'm a real producer. But you know what I mean? Like, sometimes I've had to play bass on stuff and produce. So it's like, like my wife's record, Rachel Eckroth's record, we did a jazz-ish record. That's going to come out probably, towards the fall. That's my next thing. I got to go fly and mix that stuff in Atlanta with Jason Kingsland. But I mean, well, there's actually a record coming out April 30th. It's super experimental. It's like this kind of band. We did 4 nights at the A Train last year in Berlin, and it's like this all improvised like group. It's like saxophone, drums, and Michael Walney is a genius piano player from Berlin, and I was playing bass, but I also brought a whole keyboard rig. Like I brought not really keyboards, but I brought oscillators and pedals. So like I had a whole pedal rig, and I brought like a sidechain compressor. So it was like live sidechain compressing and like a Korg vocal beat. So I was playing beats sometimes, and so it was pretty neat. It was like it was cool. And it came out unbelievable. Like it's gonna make some noise, but it's all improvised. So like it's a little rough for people who are not used to that. So yeah, but I co-produced that too. So yeah,
that's full circle, man. Geddy Lee style, back to Rush.
Yeah,
Is it distracting when you have to do a session where you're producing and playing bass, or do you find it like more engaging?
It's actually fun. Like I know what I have to do. Like some, like with Rachel's record, like occasionally you step out and play some bass stuff. Like it's funny as a sideman, you want to, as a sideman that hires you to play, like you think they want you sometimes, and so like you just go, yeah, well, do your thing, and you just kind of like gravitate to that. You just kind of, oh yeah, well, I'm going to insert myself here, and like what I mean. You take more chances because you're hired. It's a different thing. And as a producer, you're just like, well, let me just get this done. Like let me just. I'm saying it, the bass part. I mean, so just,
right.
Yeah, it's a kind of usually like not exciting, and it's just kind of the bare minimum of what's needed. So it's super like being on the other side of it is like well, like if I was. Like in other words, it's like I'm not going to overplay as much as I would if I'm the producer. I'm not going to overplay as much as I would if I was a hired sideman.
Right. So you never do indulgent takes. You're like, I'm going to go for it and just do an indulgent take and see what fits.
Sometimes, I mean, like I've been doing a ton of recording here, like during COVID breaks. So like sometimes, I just like, okay. But I find like, like that's not always what people want. Some people do want that. And it's funny. I like, especially the jazz guys, they just want, play more. And I'm just like, okay, cool. And, but sometimes my bottom line is too much for people too. So it's like, you have to kind of find that middle ground. If somebody's like on a pop recording, it's like, I just kind of instinct it especially if they don't give any direction, and they're just like, yeah, well, so that's great, but let's
Right.
try,
But play bass, like simple bass.
yeah, well, it's always like a more simple bottom line than what I think. Like, because I think, like to me, like the if someone hires me for like a pop track or something like that, I'm thinking Tedeschi trucks, like play R&B style bass, which is kind of on the notey side, most of the time. If you listen to Jamerson or, but there's like the Willie Weeks side of it too, which is like a little less notey than Jamerson. Yeah. I'm a big Willie Weeks fan, so it's like
me too.
Yeah, you just got to kind of find out what the best thing is. But sometimes you just don't know. It's not even, it's not even up to you. So,
well, you have such an interesting approach to playing. So it's like, if someone's going to hire you, like if I was going to hire you to play on a track, I'd want you to do your Tim thing. Cause like do you have any advice for young bass players about groove, like learning groove? Like I talked to Charlie Hunter, and Charlie was like, if you're a guitar player or you're a bass player, you should play drums. You need to play drums 10 minutes every day, kind of thing. Like, where does the groove come from for you? Like, because you have a very, it's that angular kind of thing but it's like, so like when we were talking earlier about tracking, and you were talking about like latency and it messing up with like your time and stuff, like you're talking about, it puts you more on top of the beat. I feel like you're right in the center of that whole note on beat one. Sometimes it's like so deep. The pocket is so deep. It's like we're covered in lint. So like, how do you do that?
I just kind of like try to get inside of it. Like just be a part of it instead of just like music should be felt. It kind of, like that kind of aesthetic, so like when I think about a groove, I really try to like be and turn, like have it remind me of like what I'm going to do. Like maybe I'll have some other track in mind, like that reminds me of it or can influence it, so like that's a cool place to come from sometimes, you know what I mean? But yeah, I mean, placing stuff, like placing notes, like, okay, there's kind of like this, to me, there's like a couple of approaches. There's like, okay, there's the Pinot approach. So we're going to play behind, like we're going to mess the groove up, or, there's and I think like a lot of young people don't know Michelle Indigiocello so much, but like, she was a gigantic influence on me, like even before Pinot, and to this day, she might still be more of one, but and she'll hate when I say that, but she's in '94 when Plantation Lullabies came out, or was it '95? I don't know. It was '95 or '94. It was just like, whoa! Like that was the first bass earthquake post Daryl Jones, Marcus Miller, Victor Bailey. You know what I mean? I was just like, holy shit! And then I came to figure out that it was heavily influenced by Paul Jackson.
Right,
from Headhunters. So
right,
but either that didn't diminish a goddamn thing for me, because it's still my chair. It just blew my mind so hard that so like that's kind of like the her kind of placement, or the Pinot kind of placement. It's like it's just got to study people and see where they're at. A lot of times bass players are on top of the beat compared to where the drummers put it. You know what I mean? There's always that battle. There's an internal battle. Yeah. So I'm just trying to like figure out. I mean, the only person that I know who hasn't had that battle is probably Anthony Jackson, right? You solo his tracks and they're probably metronomically perfect.
Yeah.
Like take Steely Dan Gaucho and solo his tracks and be like, I give up bass, because like that shit is so tight and unreal. So
yeah. Well, you are too, my friend. I mean, I
appreciate it.
Yeah, it really, like, honestly, dude, I'm not blowing smoke. Like when I first saw that documentary and heard you guys play together, it totally changed the course of my life. Like I might have still been noodling in a jam band, like up and down the East Coast, and not had an idea of like, or if I was, I mean, there's jam bands out there that really put a lot of effort, like Humphreys McGee.
Right.
Put a lot of effort.
They're amazing. I love them, actually.
Brian Stasic's going to be on my show next week.
Oh, great. Yeah, he's a bro. I love that guy.
Oh, man.
He's a bad dude. And he's all about 3-leaf audio too.
Oh yeah. I can't wait to talk to him. I'm sure he's got, but anyway, it really does. It's impacted me as a musician, like, kind of listening to you and all the different iterations of whatever you're playing with. It's always like a joy to kind of wrap my ears around what you're doing. So I super appreciate you doing this. And there's a lot of people that, like I told you, we're super pumped that you were going to do this and talk a little bit about your story, man. You ready to do this lightning round get down? And, peace out.
Trying to get my cat to shut up.
Is it dinner
Okay.
time?
I don't know. I think he wants to go out. Hilarious.
Okay, so Tim.
Yeah.
You can, if you want to, you can explain your answers. You don't have to, but if you'd like to, I'd love to hear an explanation as to why you chose that answer. We're cruising at an altitude of 105 BPM. Nice and easy breezy. First question is always the same. Lennon or McCartney?
That's a good one. I don't know. Lennon probably.
Okay. Stallone or Schwarzenegger?
Schwarzenegger.
Upright or electric?
I love them both. That's a tie, statistical tie, but I have to go. I'm better at electric, obviously.
All right. Mozzarella sticks, jalapeno poppers.
Jalapeno poppers.
All right. Here's Shadrick's question.
Okay.
What Pat's victory was more satisfying? Super Bowl. Seahawks or Falcons?
Seahawks.
All right. You got to tell me why, because he'll want to know.
Because they dispatched with another dynasty. You know what I mean? Okay, they got a little lucky with the Malcolm Butler interception. Yes, I will admit that. But that was the one that cemented Tom Brady to me. It was like there's nobody who's ever even when the Super Bowls that they lost, Tom Brady walked off the field with like less than 2 minutes left, having just gotten them the lead.
Right.
So the offense got them a lead, and then they cruised, and then the defense kind of gave it up, and then including Seattle. So I don't know. I thought that was the more stunning one than I mean, obviously the Falcons one was mind-boggling, and they're all so good, honestly. But to me, the Falcons one, I mean, the Seahawks one was surreal. I could have actually gone to that one. Derek Trucks had tickets to that Super Bowl.
Oh, man.
But it turned out to be setup day for Bowie, for Black Star. So
I think you chose wisely.
So I could have sent an email to David. Dave, do you think we could push it off a day? Yeah, I'm sure that would have gone over big, screwing everybody in the operation.
Oh man, no, you made the right decision, dude. I grew up, in Baltimore, but I grew up. My older brother is a huge Red Sox fan.
Oh, cool.
So I was raised on Wade Boggs, man. Nice. In 2004, I lost my mind when they won.
Me too.
Dude,
that was a mind fuck.
Oh my god, dude! And then the first year that we moved to Boston was the year that the Celtics won in 2008. Woo!
7 or 8, one of those.
That whole year, man, that was such an amazing
year.
It's
really been a renaissance of like staggering proportions, like how lucky we've been. Like so many good teams, like between the Red Sox and the Patriots, like the past, since like 2004, it's bananas.
Oh, it's crazy.
So
I wear my Veritech jersey every St. Patty's Day.
Hardcore, I like it.
Man.
I have all this. I have that Julian Edelman. I bought all this. I'm not a big fan of Barstool Sports, like the people, but like the swag is great. So like after the Falcon Super Bowl, they had this T-shirt called the Immaculate Gritception, which was the Julian Edelman catch. This is like, and then after they won the Seattle one, they had the Brady T-shirt that had a 4, and I bought them all. And then
man,
6-1 after the Rams Super Bowl. It's like it's great.
It's such a great city, dude. I miss it.
Yeah.
All right. Ill communication or check your head.
Ill communication.
All right. Monk or Art Tatum.
Monk.
Converse or Vans.
That's a good one. I grew up on Converse, but I like Vans recently. No, let's go Converse. Converse.
All right.
More class.
All right. Hairstyle. If you had to rock one of these the rest of your life,
okay,
you can either have a mullet or a shaved head.
Shaved head.
Okay. All right. And then this is the last question, Tim. This one is sometimes the hardest, sometimes it's the easiest.
Okay.
If you could take one album, doesn't have to be your favorite album of all time, but if you could take one album and erase it from your memory, so you never heard it before, just to experience it again for the first time, what album would that be?
I don't know. I mean, it would be one of the Pink Floyd records. I'm not sure. Maybe between Dark Side of the Moon and The Wall.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Just because that's just like your youth, and that record just kind of mind-blowing in general, both of those.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's what Gabe Dixon's was. It was Dark Side of the Moon. I was surprised.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. He said Dark Side. I was like, really? Okay. I was expecting him to say some Elton John record or something.
I mean, yeah, that's the obvious answer. Nah, but I mean, Dark Side of the Moon is an important record.
Oh my God.
In fact, I just spent $60 on an old copy of it, like a 70s copy. We had the poster in it and stuff. It's amazing.
Oh my God. How old were those guys when they did that record?
20s, right? Young 20s.
Oh my God. I was watching the documentary last night on Amazon because I hadn't seen it in a while.
The Dark Side of the Moon. The making of Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
They still know their parts. It's amazing, right?
I know.
Yeah, I know.
It's crazy.
I didn't know what's the keyboard player's name? Not Roger Mason, it's the other guy.
No. Oh my God.
You know who I mean. But anyway, he's actually a very guy, he's very understated on the but like he fills out so much space in that band, and he's also a damn good player. I didn't really realize that.
Oh yeah, he's got some like theory in that noggin too. Like when he was talking about that turnaround in, was it Breathe?
Yeah.
That, if you guys haven't seen that, it's on Prime. You can go watch it. It's so good. I would check it out.
Yeah.
Tim, man, thank you so much, dude.
Mark, thank you for having me. Really.
Yeah, man, of course. And then next week, man, hey, if you want to stop in and Raz Stasik, he's gonna be on here.
I think I might.
But man, so hang on, Tim. You guys take care of each other. Take care of yourself. We'll see you next time. Take it easy.